Welcome, Nick. I am so excited to have you here and kind of can't believe you're here and really looking forward to exploring everything we're going to explore today. Before I read your bio and introduce you and tell the audience just how enamored I am
Aw.
by your work and everything that you bring, I just want to say hi and welcome.
Hi.
Let me just tell folks a little bit about who you are and why we're here, and then you can add to that if you like.
Okay.
Yeah, so Nyck Walsh, they brings a whole person, anti-oppressive, intersectional, somatic lens to working with autistic and KCS, VAST, more affirming alternatives to ADHD folks. A white, autistic, VAST, queer, and trans counselor, Nyck is the director of Nyck Walsh Counseling and Training Center and creator of the Neurodivergent Somatics model. He curates reparative experiences for late identified autistic and KCS vast folks to connect with their innate wisdom, dismantle ableism, be supported through their challenges, and unpack their lives through their unidentified and often misunderstood neurodivergent experience. His counselor education programs have created an international following with both neurodivergent and neurotypical counselors alike reporting that they feel deeply supported and validated by his approach. While being human presents no shortage of complexity, Nyck delights in frolicking in nature and living among the trees with his four-legged bestie in the mountains of what is colonial known as Colorado.
Mm.
Wow. Welcome,
Mm.
welcome, welcome. How does it
Thank you,
how is it to
Shelby.
hear that?
It is wild. I feel like my younger self is present and is like, how the hell did this happen? Like, how did we get here? What? This is you? Um, it's deeply humbling. What a journey it's been.
I really enjoyed saying each word because it
Oh,
just feels so intentional and so meaningful. And it's my story that you really took a lot of time and care
mm.
around putting that together. Is that resonant?
That is an accurate story. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
means so much. Your like awareness of my intentionality and your appreciation. Like, yeah, from the moment you and I met, I just feel really seen by you and valued, which means a
Mm,
lot.
I'm so glad. Yeah. I was telling Nick when we met last week that somebody I really respect in the somatic psychology world, my friend Nuria, reached out and she knows how judgy I am and how high standards and how I really can't stand most courses. And she also knows, I'm neurocomplex, neurodivergent, into somatics, always learning. And she was like, I promise you, you have to take this continuing education
Oh
class
my gosh.
for somatic practitioner or for any practitioners on
Mm,
somatics and neurodivergent affirming care. And usually I listen to things on double speed. I'm half paying attention because I already know it all, of course. And I listened to every word. In fact, I couldn't do anything else. Usually I'm doing 12 things at the same time. I sat next to the river. I watched the video and I even let myself be guided through the practices, which is so rare. And I just soaked it up for once in my life, really feeling like my neurodivergent self was cared for, the somatic part of me,
mm,
trauma part of me,
mm.
all of it. So, thank you.
Gosh. Thank you, Shelby. I love your realness. And I'm like having a moment of like, just Nick, just keep breathing. Like it is so important to you and to me that I receive what you're sharing and don't just do that like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and in full disclosure, it's really hard to take in the depth of
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Um, and I appreciate the opportunity you're giving me to keep practicing taking it in.
Well, that's only 10%. So maybe maybe
Thanks for the
over
reality check.
time, maybe we can be friends and I can just slowly let it seep in for you.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a testament to what can happen when a neurodivergent, traumatized person can be held and seen in a learning space. Usually it's just absolute overwhelm, overstimulation, chaos, feeling dismissed, feeling totally invisible. And it's a testament to being intentional, like you said.
Oh, I just feel so much compassion and solidarity with what you just described. Being the things you just described and having been in plenty of those spaces myself too, that don't work for me, that bring out my super judgy side. So, I just feel so grateful. And it's taken a ridiculous amount of courage on my part. And I'm just so grateful that I've been able to do what I've been able to do and that it's having that impact on people like you. Like, what greater gift is there in this life?
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Keep going. Keep going. I hear it takes
Okay.
courage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah,
Well, before we tell everyone what we're hoping to explore today, is there
sure.
anything else about who you are, how you are, where you are that you'd like to share?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I mean, right, uncensored me is like that I'm a human on my own journey, figuring it out like everyone else is. I think something that I am navigating, and this is showing up in different areas of my life. It's showing up in, you and I talked a little bit about this recently, about my trans identity and how that's evolving and what that means for how I'm perceived and how I perceive myself. And I think too, in this role, as I am more visible in the work that I'm doing, like holding awareness of, I know who I am, and I know that I am a whole fallible being figuring it out like we all are. And so I think I feel sensitive to people mm, maybe having a story that I somehow have it all figured out, because there's no such thing.
Absolutely. Yes, that's a really important layer to share for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I find a lot of neurodivergent folks have incredible bullshit detectors anyways.
Yes. Uh-huh. That is a gift we have.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just important to make it known that neither of us apparently have our shit together completely.
The journey continues.
Totally. Yes. Yes. Well, this podcast, of course, is welcome to folks, whether neurotypical, neurodivergent, however you identify. And our hope really is that we can bring some realness, some radical permission to rest in your
Mhm.
identities and
Mhm.
some connection and softness, really, through how we're relating, maybe how we're tripping over our words together and finding our way, and through what we're speaking towards in all of our learning with ourselves and our clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, well said.
Yeah. We're
Hmm.
hoping to navigate some of these topics around labels and belongings, a wholeness paradigm versus a pathology paradigm, uh, ableism, burnout, the intersections between many identities and within ourselves, within our clients, and those we work with, permission and giving ourselves permission and undoing cultural expectations. And honestly, a lot more. But those are just some bullet points that, we had so much fun talking before getting to share with y'all that we touched on. So we're just hoping to be able to bring that to you as
Hmm.
well. Is there anything there that I missed that feels alive today?
I think just something that I'm sitting with. It's funny that I say sitting with because I literally feel it in my like in the seat of my body. Um, it's just holding the complexity of identities and the experience of being human. And I feel like I just want to reiterate or name explicitly how aware I am of what it is to be a late identified autistic vast person who is also white, and being acutely aware of the privilege that I hold, of the marginalization that I hold. Right, I'm also a speaking autistic person, which inherently holds a lot of privilege, as well as someone who has access to a lot of masking, right? And even though there's pain in masking and trauma and all the things and a whole journey of unpacking, it also means that I have access to more built-in safety
Mm,
than Black folks, brown folks, um, folks of other marginalized sociocultural locations.
yeah.
Yeah, that just feels
Again,
important to put that out there.
those layers, the nuances are so
Hmm.
important.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds so inappropriate to say ditto. But, me as well with the identities that I carry as a white bodied, female identified, queer, late in life diagnosed, high masking, autistic, ADHD. I have access to safety in certain ways that others might not, and don't feel safe in certain ways that others might. And it's
Exactly.
quite a complexity of lived experience. Yeah. You
Yeah.
said something about masking, and in that exact moment, like the weight of masking, my golden retriever let out the loudest sigh I've ever heard.
Oh my gosh. Solidarity.
Totally. He knows nothing about masking. You know, a lot of folks in this space are used to me talking about trauma, trauma healing, somatics, the power of the therapeutic relationship. But it's newer in this space to be talking about neurodivergence,
Uh-huh.
masking,
Uh-huh.
everything we're covering. And
Uh-huh.
so I wonder if you'd be open to just sharing a bit more about what you mean by masking.
Mm. Yeah. And, I'm sure if you ask 10 different people, they might give you 10 different answers. How I would word it in this moment is masking is a way that it's talked about mostly with autistic and also KCS fast, which is an alternative to ADHD folks, where it's a way that we figure out how to blend in essentially with our environment, how to be how to pass as close to neurotypical as possible, knowing that we're inherently different, but efforting to try and figure out what is expected of us, what the social norms are, what the environment is, how the environment's expecting us to show up, and then doing our best to meet those expectations. So it's essentially oh wow. Okay, so uncensored me is very present today. So it's basically like an act of abandoning ourselves for our survival.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I was just feeling that as you were talking, kind of right in the center of my chest. It
Mm,
just feels like both a weight and a guard at the same time.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's most, I don't know if this is accurate, but most often unconscious, where
Oh, absolutely.
we start early in life just feeling
Hmm.
like there's something different going on here. And
Uh-huh.
in order to
Uh-huh.
survive, I have to adapt. I have to
Yeah. Yeah.
find ways to fit in, belong,
Yeah.
feel safe.
Yeah.
And in a neurotypically dominated world,
Hmm.
that's what gets favored.
Right.
Those
Exactly.
social norms,
Exactly.
those
Yeah.
behaviors,
Yeah.
those ways of moving our bodies,
Uh-huh.
those ways
Uh-huh.
of talking about or expressing or engaging with our interests.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, depending on the body that we're in as it relates to race, gender, sexual orientation, culture, religion, masking is anywhere from that which what literally keeps us alive to that which helps us belong, have friends, have a job, have connections, be included. And sometimes we're talking emotional safety, but it can also be very much about physical safety too.
Absolutely. And it's not lost on me that most of the research has been done on cis male folks.
Mhm.
And they're finding more and more that a lot of other folks learn to mask in such huge ways and really
Yeah.
early in life for
Mhm.
survival. And so
Mhm.
this is something that's just kind of coming out in a big way. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, part of the way that people assigned female at birth, whether they identify as girls and women or trans non-binary folks, there's a way that the genders are socialized that girls are expected to perceive everything that's happening. They're expected to anticipate what people's needs are. They're expected to be quiet, right? They're expected to not take up too much space. And so there are ways that socialization of the genders actually reinforces masking at an early age, and why so many of us who were assigned female at birth um, fly under the radar, and why there's this whole generation of late identified folks who are
Yeah.
suddenly like, holy shit, finally have language for who I am.
Yeah. And there's maybe a burnout that happens or a
Oh my
hormonal change
gosh.
or something
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
just often makes us hit a wall where we're like, wait,
Hmm.
something is
Hmm.
going on here. Like this
Hmm.
isn't just trauma. I've been trauma healing for 30 years. Or wait,
Hmm.
everybody isn't like this.
Uh-huh.
And we just
Uh-huh.
can't do it anymore in the way that we
Yeah.
were.
Yeah. So true. I think all of us, right, have that defining moment where it's like maybe moment, 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 and then all of a sudden there's the light bulb, and it's like, oh fuck, it all adds up now.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. I have been hearing a lot in my own unmasking process, and really like being excited by being autistic and ADHD, or now I have new language for this that I'm going to start integrating. Um, it's like, why do you need to be labeled? Why do you want to be put in a box with this
Uh-huh.
really like
Uh-huh.
judgy, stigmatizing, like, vibe?
Uh-huh.
And I love to talk together a little bit about how identification can be
Mhm.
empowering, it can be
Mhm.
supportive, it can
Mhm.
bring compassion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I'll just stop there and see what your
Yeah.
thoughts are.
Totally. Well, and it feels important. I'm realizing I offer these alternate like labels essentially, and most listeners have never heard of these. So I'm like, oh, I should probably just mention what they are first, and then I
Yeah.
would love to go to where you just brought us. So KCS is the acronym for kinetic cognitive style, and that term comes from Dr. Nyck Walker, um, who's an autistic scholar. And then VAST is variable attention stimulus trait. And that term comes from doctors uh, Ed Hallowell and John Rady, who wrote a book called ADHD 2.0. Um,
Yes.
I've heard, in full disclosure, I've heard mixed things about how neurodivergent affirming it is,
Mm.
but I do really appreciate the language, having these alternates that are much more affirming, right? Because the words deficit and disorder are both in ADHD. Like,
Hmm. Ouch.
what affirm? Yeah, exactly. How is that affirming of anyone's humanity?
Yeah.
Um,
I had someone in one of my classes recently. I was kind of, introducing neuro-affirming care, and I kept saying ADH and thinking I was being super empowered. And somebody was like, um, wait, isn't there anything better than attention deficit hyperactive?
uh-huh,
And I hadn't even
uh-huh,
caught. I thought
uh-huh.
I was being so empowered by leaving disorder off. And so I'm just so grateful that you're sharing about this.
Yeah, that's like the mediocre alternative that I do. I tend to call it ADH, but like acknowledging it feels mediocre. So yeah, I'm so grateful to learn that there's other Though there's other names getting some traction out there because we need it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
So labels and boxes.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I think you had asked, because now my mind right went wandered off on that other path. I think you had asked, like, why does it matter? Why is it important?
Yeah. Yeah. Aren't we
Yeah.
all just human? Don't we all just suffer? And um, lately I've been getting, uh, being raised in the 90s as someone with ADHD and the way I was treated and the way I saw my friends treated, uh, that just doesn't feel empowering to me to be identifying within that,
Uh,
you know.
yeah. 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 I mean, it's a great question. It's something I think about and talk about a lot. And I think what I would say first, and I remember Dr. Nick Walker saying something similar, is that like well, so first off, the labels, this idea of neurotypicality and other neurotypes, right? Other ways of being human. The like neurotypicality is a social construct. It's not something that is innately biological in us. Like diversity is innately biological. So this idea that there's one way to be human, well, one, it's bullshit, and two, like humans created that idea. And so, what happens is there are humans who can fit that way of being without a lot of effort, without a lot of dissonance. And then there are other humans who, no matter how hard they try, will not ever sort of fit that role or fit that box, if you will. And those of us are neurodivergent. And there's a gazillion ways to diverge from neurotypicality. But so having language is like kind of creates this freedom for the first time. And oftentimes there's a ton of grief that goes with it. But this idea of like, holy shit, I'm not broken. Like,
Yes.
because we internalize all our lives that like, okay, well, where's the problem? Like, okay, there's something wrong with me. And it as though it's like our job to then effort our entire lives to figure out what's broken and fix it. And
Yes.
I know that journey all too well. Not just because I've lived it, and then I also, get to witness it in other people all the time. And so there's a sense of liberation. There's a sense of like, oh, I can actually come home to being who I am. And maybe I finally get to stop trying to fix myself. And
Hmm.
maybe I get to focus on what are my needs? Like, wait, I get to even have needs?
Yes.
What might those needs be? How can I meet those needs? Like, are there ways that I could actually curate a life that works better for me?
Mm.
Or at least ask for help in the ways that I might need it, or have accommodations, or gosh, maybe even boundaries. Like, how novel is that? Maybe I could actually say no sometimes. Um,
Yeah. Or
so it's
have
like,
limitations and have that be okay.
yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for saying that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
I know capacity for me, long before I became a therapist, especially as a therapist, though, this question of capacity has like haunted me because it's so easy to compare myself to other people, and it's something I've always done. And, as a sensitive person, right, all the things that make me who I am, in a lot of ways, my capacity will never match
Yeah.
what many people around me seem to be able to do.
Yeah.
Um, and for it to stop being a me problem and
Mm.
for there to get to be acceptance around it. Like, yeah, you know what? I am different.
Yeah.
Um, and the grief that I mentioned, right? Because so many of us come into our neurodivergence and it's like grief and liberation. And the grief for me, it's more about like, holy shit, I had a lifetime of unmet needs. I had a lifetime of trying to be someone I'm not, of being told that I'm supposed to be different than who I am. So I feel like I want to be careful because some people, when they hear grief, they think, oh, I'm sad because I'm autistic.
Yes.
And that is so far from the truth.
Yeah.
There are moments where I'm very acutely aware of how much harder life is for me than other people. And I feel the sadness in that. But it's not ever sad that, oh gosh, I wish I was born in a neurotypical body mind.
Hmm.
Like that usually is not the thought that goes through my head. If life was easier for me because things inherently made sense and things were easier for me to access, yes. but the grief is much more about the past and also letting go of who I'll actually never be.
Mm,
Because now I get to stop trying to be someone I can't be in this
yeah.
life. And I have to let
Yeah.
go of all those expectations.
Yeah. And for me and many other folks, possibly you as well, there was a lot of rage
Oh,
as well.
thank
And
you. Oh my gosh. Can't believe I missed that. This is why there's two of us here. Thank you, Shelby.
oh, just rage of like, what? Just being
Uh-huh.
totally shattered of my perception of myself, of who I thought I was supposed to
Oh
be.
my God.
If I healed, how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars have I spent on a certain kind of healing,
Uh-huh.
trying to get
Uh-huh.
myself to be like a neurotypical
Oh my
person?
gosh.
How did my parents miss this? How did my
Mm.
teachers, my therapists,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and the disintegration also they can go with that kind of
Mm-hmm.
shattering.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Right. It's like a profound unlearning journey.
Hmm. It's
Mm,
very humbling.
mm. That's a good word for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that you're naming the rage because especially in as a woman, right? And for me, assigned female at birth, like that was not something that I was allowed to access. And particularly with the family of origin that I grew up in, right? And like there's so much social conditioning that like women aren't allowed to be angry. Like AFAB people can't be angry. That's
Yeah.
no. And then especially I think about Black women, like, right? Like all of these ideas that around anger and race and like fuck that. There's good
Yeah.
reason to be angry.
So good. And it's a powerful emotion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just either for me, it was a swirl of everything for
Uh-huh.
at least a couple of years,
Uh-huh.
or like a knotted ball of yarn that just was slowly and still is kind of loosening around
Mm.
everything I thought was supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. And it makes me think when I hear you say that in the pause, I think about, I've heard so many clients say this similar sentiment of like, who am I then even? Like, if I'm not who I sort of constructed myself to be, not knowing I was constructing myself to be anything, like I was just being in the only ways, right? Like that I knew how. But now that I might have permission to be more authentically me, what the heck does that even mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that integrity piece, we talked about this last week, that is
Yes. Uh-huh.
so important to a lot of neurodivergent folks. It's like one of our leading values,
Hmm.
integrity. And then it's like, have I been lying to myself or others? And ooh, there's feelings about that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, in moments I feel like it's felt like flavors of existential crisis in me of right how much I value truth telling and like authenticity. Like that is that and integrity, right? Like some of my highest values. And to notice unconsciously in just trying to exist, how often my masking, if you look at it through a different lens, took on the the um the flavor of not telling the truth,
Yeah.
right? Of not being honest. And it's like I've had to call upon a lot of self-compassion because it's so easy to go to shame.
Hmm.
And if I could have done better, I would have done better. Um, and so I think too, there's a huge element of as we really deepen into unmasking, and I feel like this is one of those things I haven't really heard many people talking about it, um, of like what feels like the shadow side
Yeah.
of the unmasking journey. And um, how important it's been to call upon gentleness.
Mm,
Um, and with people who are safe enough in my life to acknowledge too the ways that I haven't been as authentic as I would have liked. And here's why.
hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
it's so humbling, profoundly humbling and uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's a lot of loss and a lot of gain that can
Yeah.
happen as we feel safe enough to
Yeah.
even just to start experimenting with who
Right.
might I be
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
moment with this
Yeah.
person. And I've been noticing actually, I from long-term friends, what I keep getting is, this isn't you, Shelby. Like this new me. Last week I got that's off color for you. And well, I did have a
Wow.
meltdown. I ended up coming around to I must
Mm.
be, I'm being true to myself now.
Uh-uh.
And that feels more important.
Mm.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you bringing up, and I'm navigating this in my own life, that as we lean into our journey of being more authentic to us in the ways that we can, in the ways that it's safe enough, circumstance to circumstance, right? Like you mentioned, this idea of loss and that relationships are likely going to change. I've experienced that for sure in my own life, and how much reorientation there is, and things that we might have tolerated before that we won't now, and things that maybe, we were more, oh God, I can't believe I'm going to use this word. I have to like use air quotes. It makes me want to vomit, but like ways we've been more so-called palatable to other
Hmm.
people. And then suddenly when we stop with the people pleasing and the appeasing and the fawn response that so many of us socialized as girls know so well, um, right, then what happens? And then how other people are like, right, like you said, well, that seems off color for you. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's when we know we're on the right track.
Yes, I know. I want to celebrate your courage. And at the same time, like I feel the tenderness in that, right? Like the risk. Like
Yeah.
for us to choose to be more authentic to ourselves, for some of us, that does include a lot of loss.
Mm. Yeah. Identifying can be absolutely terrifying. I know some folks have who have realized they're autistic or another flavor of neurodivergence and are like, I'm not telling anyone. And so there is a piece that, while in some ways it's going to be freeing, with so many people, and there's a way that path that we choose as we begin to unmask and identify and tell people that it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It takes so much courage. And it reminds me of something that we had touched on when we talked recently too, of this idea of being like autistic enough or any marginalized identity, right? Like, am I trans enough? Am I queer enough? Right? And how oppression like pits us against each other and then creates these ideas, these false ideas, these very harmful ideas about like, am I doing it right? Right. And this sense of like, oh my gosh, like if other autistic people knew I did this, like, would that be okay? Or if other trans people knew that, maybe there's a moment where I didn't correct someone about my pronouns, like, oh my God, am I a horrible trans person? And like all the layers of things that we're trying to process in any given moment as we're trying to just exist in the world and do the things we have to do. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah. The pressure it puts on us that there's like a so-called right way to be when there's not.
Oh, yes. No, we got to stop comparing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it reminds me, our intention around radical permission.
Uh-huh.
It's like, as I'm in this space, for example, with these people, maybe I don't need to judge myself for being like, oh, I was masking. It's like, well, okay, hold on a minute. There are
Yeah.
so many reasons why you might, specifically around safety,
Yeah.
and maybe just today, like, how much authenticity can I allow? That's your words, I think. Just a little bit. And can I remind
Mhm.
myself that I allowed that and be good with
Mhm.
it?
My gosh. Right. It brings me right back to the idea of self-compassion. And it's such a journey, and I know it in myself, I know it in other people, like, and it brings up such sadness when we're so hard on ourselves because we feel like we didn't do it so-called right, or we weren't the like whatever the fuck like the model autistic person is, if you know, if that exists. Um, right. And how do we be more tender? Because the reality is, and here's where I think there's a lot of confusion out in the world, is that I don't think it's my job as a person and as a counselor to tell people to stop masking. Like that would actually be really harmful. And I think it often gets misunderstood that it is very much for safety and it's a trauma response. And so what I think, what I perceive is maybe more the point is like when and where are the spaces that we can have more agency to
Mm,
be, to try out more authentic ways of being, knowing that it's not safe in all spaces, in all moments to just be so fully ourselves. And then and then it makes me I go to my heart and then I think about all the autistic people who don't have that option, right? Who
yeah.
won't ever blend in. And so then I feel the complexity of what it is to hold more privilege that I can mask and also, right, it's so complex. It's so
It's so
complex.
complex. Yeah. That, am I autistic enough? There's, for me, it's a sense of I can pass. I can pass in a lot of ways
Uh-huh.
around a lot
Uh-huh.
of my identities,
Uh-huh.
chronic illness, queerness,
Uh-huh.
autism, ADH,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Uh-huh.
And there's such a deep loneliness too
Yeah.
around having the privilege. So
Uh-huh.
it's like, okay, there has to be compassion here as well, and
Yeah.
an acknowledgement that there is also privilege here I have
Right.
for safety.
Right. Right. Well, I really feel that, especially in the present moment and the times that we're living in. I feel that in such a deep, visceral way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of what we're talking about here, really, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the wholeness paradigm versus the
Yeah.
pathology paradigm. It's included
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
there. And I was,
Yeah.
I sometimes am asked to read people's reports from medical model assessments
Okay.
because people feel so dysregulated or just upside
Uh-huh.
down or
Yeah.
unseen or scared when they receive these diagnoses, and they come to
Uh-huh.
me to just make sense of it.
Uh-huh.
And I was reading this medical model, definitely I'm going to say old school assessment, like 30
Uh-huh.
pages last night, and I just felt so ick. I
Mhm.
felt so
Mhm.
mad, so protective over this
Yeah.
human because every word was through a pathology paradigm. It talked about their problems, their issues. The recommendations were for
Mhm.
CBT therapy so that they could fit in better with neurotypical people, have, in air
Mhm.
quotes, better
Mhm.
social skills, make
Oh,
eye contact better.
oh,
And the entire 30 pages had some note around the issues or the problems. And I felt so grateful to get to have learned the way I learned. And so upset at the lack of education and awareness that to me feels so easy to bring the wholeness paradigm, the
mhm.
compassion paradigm, to be
Mhm.
neuro-affirming. And I just think it's so important that we know that there are
Gosh, when I hear you say that, and I know we'll mention in a minute about the book I recently wrote that's coming out soon, but when I heard you share, it reminded me of a section in the book, and in the work that I do, treatment plans aren't really a regular part of it. Um, I know for folks working with insurance companies, right, there are certain loopholes that they have to jump through. But this idea of like when counselors are reading their documentation, if they were to put their name in place of their client's name with what they wrote, if it's not good enough for them, then it's not good enough for their client. And like I imagine, right, like if that assessor had their name on this report, there's no way in hell they would let that out into the world.
yeah.
but somehow, right? Like that's not how we're taught to think.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're close to out of time, and I feel like going on a rant about reading about borderline personality disorder in
Yeah.
2025
Uh-huh.
for
Uh-huh.
autistic women.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
it's that's the pathology. And it's
Yeah.
the old stigma, it's the
Uh-huh.
bias and the reality that I just want the world to know that most practitioners out there are trained in an old paradigm. And there are newer ways that are so much more compassionate
Yeah.
and informed to help people
Uh-huh.
identify.
Yeah. Right, that understand people as whole beings, not as broken beings who need to be fixed, but like that we are wise, adaptable beings who figure out how to exist in profoundly dysfunctional environments, right? Whether it's family of origin or, all the way up to systemic pieces and institutional pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Many
Mm,
feelings.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. For good reason.
Yeah. I guess I should
Yeah.
side note for folks that don't know why I get mad about seeing borderline on people's paperwork. For me, it's not even a real diagnosis. It's something that so
Uh-huh.
many people get pegged with who have experienced complex trauma.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they're autistic,
Uh-huh.
and it's so stigmatizing. It again makes the client
Yeah.
think they need fixing. And for
Yeah.
borderline has been pegged with the story that there's no help for them.
Uh-huh.
And it just is so
Uh-huh.
sad to me because
Yeah.
it's a misdiagnosis. It's not
Right.
seeing the complexity that's in front of
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I
Mm.
am looking at our list and I feel like we've covered
Okay.
20% of everything we wanted.
That sounds about right.
I am wondering if there's anything here, something that just really like jumps out to me that we didn't talk about that I don't know that we can do justice to in just a few minutes is the importance of speaking to ableism and um, that we cannot talk about neuro-affirming care or trauma-informed care without talking about race and other identities. And maybe we'll do another podcast at some point. Is there anything in this moment that feels important to speak to on those points? I know it's short.
I guess the first thing that comes up is that, like what you just named, because the roots of ableism are actually tied to anti-Black racism. And this is especially important for white folks that we need to realize that as we examine and dismantle ableism, we can't do it without also examining and looking at how colonization has shaped us, how white supremacy, how cis heteronormativity, patriarchy, capitalism, how all of them are so disgustingly embedded in this oppressive system, this oppressive almost tapestry. And so it's complex and we are all impacted by ableism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
that's like the teeny tiny tip of what I would say.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot there.
It's just too important to not even mention it because
Mhm.
it's intricately connected to everything we've talked about. So my
Yeah.
hope is we can explore that more at some point
Yeah. Yeah.
and that we're all in our openness to learning
Mhm.
more as
Uh-huh.
we're deepening into this work so we can support people
Yeah.
as well as we possibly can.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned a book a little bit ago.
Oh, I did.
If you'd like, you're welcome to share about it, or you can sweep it under the carpet.
Yeah.
And the other things that people can look
Uh-huh.
forward to when they come find
Uh-huh.
you.
Yeah, no, Shelby, I'm glad you're giving me opportunities to be brave for, this process has been long from start to finish. And for me, as someone who's such a slow processor, it's a good thing it's taken so much time because I'm finally now ready to tell people. For the longest time, I was like, nobody can know I'm doing this little thing. Um, but yeah, so I have a book coming out March 10th of 2026 that'll be published by Norton Professional Books called Neurodivergent Somatics in Therapy. Oh my gosh, what's the subtitle? I think it's a whole person model for anti-oppressive care. Um, so yeah, that feels like a really big deal. And probably of all the many, many brave things I've done in my life, maybe the bravest, especially at this point in time in the
Yeah.
United States with what's happening, being so forward facing with the identities I hold. So, yep, that's coming in a few months. And then, yeah, my website is nyckwalsh.com if anyone is interested in counselor education programs or the work that I do.
Yes. And do you do therapy with folks in Colorado or consults or anything like that?
Yeah, so my work over time has shifted that for the most part now, all the new clients I'm taking on are in the helping profession themselves. So mostly other therapists and counselors. And I offer counseling to people in Colorado, but I also do consulting, like professional consultation. And because the personal and the professional are so woven together, it creates a little bit of space for me to meet with people in many locations.
Yes, beautiful. I know so many people listening have had that question on
Mhm.
their mind. Okay, where can
Mhm.
I find the website? Where can I sign up? Where can I get a session?
Oh, thanks, Shelby.
Yeah, and I really truly cannot recommend enough your continuing education courses
Mm,
and
thank
truly
you.
I just it changed my life. It changed me and it changes the way my clients experience the work. So, thank you.
Okay, I think you just went up to at least 15 to 20% of how much you shared to circle back to earlier. It's good that my system had all that time to settle to
Totally.
be able to take in some more. Thank you so much, Shelby.
You're
I'm
so welcome. I look forward to
wow.
more hopefully sometime. And
That sounds great. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just picturing you out wandering in the Colorado mountains with your
Yeah.
trees, and I'll be
Yeah.
doing the same between here and Montana.
Hmm. That sounds really lovely. Yeah. Oh, the
Yeah,
support of nature. I don't know where I'd be without it.
me too. Well, thank you so much. And for everybody listening, as you know, we love to hear how things land. If you love things, if you hate things, if you've got questions. So feel free to send an email to me, Shelby at shelbylee.com. And I can tell you we read every single one and are so grateful for any person that just reaches out and shares. So
Mhm.
thank you. And thank you, Nyck.
Thank you so much, Shelby.